Shalom, shalom, and hello. This is Sister Victoria. I am coming back on here in regards to my daughter, Dominique Hardwick, that is now deceased. I am coming on here concerning the death of the man, Stephen Brown, who she ended up having to murder because of a rape that he infringed upon my child with. Thank God, thank the Messiah, Yeshua, that she was a strong enough woman to fight a man off of her that raped her. Or I would have said goodbye to my daughter a lot sooner. Eventually, I will get into sharing why it was important and how the Messiah didn't allow her to die sooner. I will share that at a later date. As you can see, this paper on the screen is stating the rape at the top. You can see rape, and you have the people's names, which is my daughter's name, and the man that ended up dying. My daughter was a victim in this case. And thank you, Jesus, that she was cleared, and it was founded as a Jesus, justified homicide. Please bear with me. I want to make it clear that my daughter defended herself when a monstrous man who she thought that she can trust, who she thought that she can depend on, that would be right and treat her right. Bringing him in her home. We have to be so careful who we have fellowship with. There is so much wickedness going on in the world today that we need to be careful who we fellowship with. Unfortunately, my child had to experience this the hard way. She believed herself to be a man, and so she had a lot of male friends that she partied with, hung out with. So we're going to get right into it, so I won't be that long before you. But as we tell the story, we're going to, there's the police report I'm going to show you, and it will also be read to you. I want to say there's a lot of names blotted out to protect the people that are still alive for their privacy. That's not right to just expose people without their permission, or to talk about people over social media without their permission. But since this was made publicly known anyway, and people have put their mouth on a situation with not knowing the whole truth and nothing but the truth, I'm going to explain and make it very clear. So, going forward, there was a summary done, and that will be read to you. But we'll talk about also from the time that there was many incident reports in this situation. And it talks about on March 27, 21, how it was responded to by officers. My daughter ended up having to deal with calling the police, going in to get a rape kit. All of these things she had to experience as a rape victim. I like to also state that when she was 5 years old, she was raped. And she did not even share that information with me until she was 9, and we were away from the person at that time. Later on in life, we found that that person was killed. So the word tells us, vengeance is mine and I shall repay. Yah will repay wicked people that reward you evil for good. He will repay them. I want to state that when Dominique was only 5 years old, she was raped. I did not find out until she died the level of that rape, that she expressed a 17-year-old, 18-year-old young man molested her and raped her and penetrated and made her perform oral sex on him. I could truly understand why she wouldn't want a man after experiencing that. I could truly understand. Just as though when boys, young boys, are molested and sodomized, and unfortunately, a lot of times the boys end up going that way. Most of the time, the girls go the opposite way. But there was other things that just took place, me being a single mom working and having no one to trust, and just had to depend on so many other people. But basically, I'm going to have the summary read to you. The summary will be read, and you will see for yourself what had took place. So the summary will be read. I will say I blocked out names for the protection of people that are still alive, and officers, DAs, and people like that. I want to protect their privacy. So, but it was called a justified homicide. Justified homicide in the case of Stephen Brown. I know his mother is on Facebook, and she's, mocked my child, put her picture up as a murderous person who just went, killing people. But I want to tell you, unfortunately, when this man, Stephen Brown, raped her, it was almost though he triggered something all the way back when she was a little girl and she was raped, and she was never the same after that. I've heard that from other people. She ended up having PTSD. And she wasn't a Christian. She wasn't a believer. She tells you that in her video. So upon dealing with demons in the world, your own demons, is just too much for even a strong person physically to take after so long. Because our Creator called us unto Him. He says, cast your cares upon me, for I care for you. For my burdens is light and my yoke is easy. And unfortunately, she didn't lay her burdens at the Most High's feet. She carried them herself, and this was the end of her destruction because she didn't release those burdens, unfortunately. And I also feel bad that I wasn't able to help her in a way to understand that. But anyway, I just want to say that it was a justified homicide concerning Stephen Brown. She defended herself, a man that attacked her in the middle of the night that she allowed to stay over looking out for. And we will hear the summary that will talk about that. So as we go forward, the next voice you will hear the summary being read as to what happened that evening of Dominique having to take someone's life because he tried to rape her, and he did.
Dominique and Stephen were co-workers at Wilson's Sporting Goods, and after getting off work, ran into each other at Love's truck stop and decided to go to Legend's bar. They hung out for a short time and then went to Dominique's residence. After arriving, they began drinking heavily while hanging out in the garage. Dominique then decided to shower and go to bed and allowed Stephen to stay downstairs in the living room. Dominique was then woken with Stephen being in her bed. Stephen forced himself on top of her and penetrated her vagina with his penis. Dominique fought him off, causing the bed to break before running downstairs with him giving chase. Dominique grabbed her shotgun from the bedroom next to the garage and ran into the garage with Stephen still giving chase. They struggled over the shotgun. Once Dominique gained control back, she created enough space to level the shotgun and fired, striking Stephen in the chest. Dominique then immediately fired a second time, and Stephen fell to the ground where he died. Dominique afterwards ended up calling her family member, telling her initially what happened. Once the family member arrived at her residence, Dominique explained what happened, then took her to the Wilson County Sheriff Department and reported what happened. The crime scene was processed with evidence collected, later being submitted to the TBI Crime Laboratory. All results at that time of this closure has been received except for the firearm analysis, working condition of the weapon. After having several meetings with ADA and the DA It has been decided that the case would not be presented to a Wilson County grand jury and closed as a justified homicide. Contact was made with Stephen's family members via telephone and advised that the case was being closed as a justified homicide. Contact was also made with Dominique and advised the same.
Of course, this was a summary before all the investigation was totally done. When it went and talked about, they were still waiting on firearm analysis and the working conditions of the weapons. They had already got all of this done. This is the conclusion of what was founded, that it was a justified homicide. After that rape, my daughter was never the same. Unfortunately, her mind was never the same. I saw her when she started coming back around after that. She was heavily drinking. She was not the same. She was stable on her job. In the process of that, because she was a supervisor for Wilson Sporting Goods, she had very good work ethics, hardworking. She had a good heart. She may not be a follower of Christ. That she wasn't, unfortunately. And she tells that in her video. One thing I can't appreciate my daughter for is she was not a hypocrite. She didn't have one foot in church and the other in the world, like we see so many people, even people that call themselves leaders and pastors and deacons and anybody that calls themselves representing the Father, and they don't show any signs of it. And that's one thing she knew not to do, was be a hypocrite. We heard in Dominique's last video that she made before she passed, that she heard the Lord calling her. She heard him calling her, yet she didn't turn back to the Father. And unfortunately, that was the results. So now we have, and I hope that I made it clear, that it was a justified homicide with Stephen Brown. And I do feel bad for his mother because she lost her son. But see, as parents, we need to just be honest. If you have a destructive child, a child that's in mess, don't defend that behavior. Don't defend that. Tell them the truth and hope that they will change, and pray that they will change. Most of y'all parents that are like that, you're wicked yourselves, or you don't walk righteous and be honest about your own behavior, so you can't teach your children to do the same. I'm going to end it with that. Just rectifying her name. I feel bad for Stephen's mother, but at the same time, if you're going to get on and talk about and air things on social media, because she put her face up on Facebook, as you can see, tell the truth. People tell half truths. There's always 2 to 3 sides of the story. And the reason why I said the truth is their side, your side, and the actual truth is the third. So have a mind to tell the truth. I wanted to share this with everybody, especially for the people who love Dominique, who cared about Dominique, to let them know that she really went through a lot in the last moments of her life. She was sick. She had therapy. She couldn't even work at her same job. She lost the house in the process of that she had just purchased. She had just purchased her new home that she had to kill that man in to save her life. And so she was traumatized even the more after that. So I just want to encourage you, be careful when you're out here dealing with wicked people. When you see the level of wickedness, out here with people, I don't care if they call themselves godly people, be careful. You can't just hang around everybody. If you see a wickedness in people that's so low down and dirty, don't think they won't show you that same spirit if you get in their way or you upset them. You need to walk carefully before the Most High. Shalom.